Okay, so today's class is a whole body class, a little bit of Feldenkrais and quite a lot of abs. It'd be good to do some abs on Friday. So let's just start with a vagal balancing exercise, and let's just start with linking the fingers, hands behind the head. Try and keep your skull really still, and let's just do the really simple one of looking up to your right elbow, which is roughly about 2 o'clock in the imaginary clock face. So we're really working on the vagal nerve in the eyes. And you're looking at the vision. The vision should be, if it is a little bit fuzzy, you should notice it sharpen. And if you didn't get that sharpening, you could either do the other side and then go back and do that side again, or you could just stay with it a little bit longer. But your vision should definitely improve as you're doing this. Make sure the skull's not moving. You could focus on the breath. You could push the tongue into the roof of the mouth and just think of the lemon, which allows your salivary glands to talk to the vagal system. Not something I can do when I'm talking, but you can. So that's something, tongue to the roof of the mouth, and imagine something sour, something you could do even if you were with other people. No one would notice you doing it. And just do it long enough to feel saliva building in the bottom of the mouth. Try not to swallow for a while. And then come back to center, and then you're looking up to the left elbow with both eyes. You're looking at the vision, how sharp is it? And you're waiting for the vision to sharpen. You're looking for the side, a yawn, a swallow. I like this one simply because it lifts your rib cage and stretches your diaphragm and the beginning of your psoas. So it just really helps to calm you just by checking in with your solar plexus. The solar plexus is a group of nerves that are right at the origin of the diaphragm, the psoas, in that just under the breastbone. There's my nice sigh, and you're coming back into center, and then just taking the arms away. Check in with the neck, just see how things feel, just assess. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to sit sideways on the chair, and let's just go into a slump. So this is Feldenkrais. Drop your head, you're still looking forward, you're going into a slump, and just notice how the forces go into the neck, go into the SI joints, into the lumbar spine. So, this is how we often sit for hours and hours when we're watching television, if we're not taking any notice. So just come into an upright spine. We've got the cat joining the class, and then just gently roll into the slump and come back into upright. So a spinal flexion. So if I look at myself in the camera, I can see that I'm very flexible between the shoulder blades, but there's no curve in the lumbar spine. So you can tell if you look at yourself, where the issues are in the back. Keep the chin slightly pulled in. Feel like the tailbone is tucking, the ribs are tucking in the front. It does help to bring your arms in. Helps you to get a sense of the C curve through the body. So just slow repetition. Just give the long back muscles a nice stretch. Pelvic tuck, so I can feel I'm very tight through here, and I can see it on the camera as well. If you're on a big chair, you could tuck your toes under so you don't feel like you're going to fall. If it's a small chair, ideally you've got your feet on the floor so that you're grounded. So it's always good for the brain to make connection with the floor. That really helps the brain through the kinetic chain. Couple more. So I'm really starting to feel that this part of my spine is starting to relax with the pelvic tucks. A little bit more curve there now. Last one. So now come into a very upright spine, neutral spine. And now imagine the hips are like two big wheels, and you're rolling through the hip, but you're not going into a rounded spine. So as much as possible, look at the horizon or look at something that's in front of you that's eye level, and don't allow your spine to curve. Just keep it in the hips. So as you do this straight away, you notice transversus abdominis, the low abdominal muscles. So transversus abdominis goes all the way up to the breastbone, but you notice those ones that run along the pelvis at the front. So quite a good area to target. So if you're doing it right, you'll feel a little bit of ab activation. You'll feel the muscles around your hip. You take the arms forward. Just think about staying in that neutral spine. So not curving through the back. If you curve through the back, this stretch will jump past the hip complex straight into your lumbar spine, and it will irritate your spine. It will irritate the discs in the spine. That's not where the movement should be initiating from. It should be coming from all through these muscles here. So how about we take one leg forward, really focus on that straight leg now. Pull your toe up and roll through the wheel of that hip. Again, you could take your arms forward, try and maintain neutral spine. So now your brain is just talking to that one side. And if we've got issues, which we all have, like SI joint issues, then the brain isn't always getting a great connection to the glutes on one side, usually just one side. So keep doing this until you start to notice, you know, the fatiguing in this muscle group. So it's a whole complex of muscles that's working to stabilize the hip. Still working those low transversus abdominis. So I'm starting to feel now, this is my lazy hip, I'm starting to feel the brain connecting. So now take the other leg out, pull the toe up. You can't see this side, although I could swing around. So the wheel in the hip and the wheel is rolling backwards. And I'm not slumping, so I've got to really think long spine and roll from the hip. So try and think, you know, your head is pushing up into your hand and it's the hip that's rolling. So if you elongate your spine and feel like the crown of the head pushing up into the palm of your hand. So for me on this side, straight away, I can feel the glutes working because this is my dominant hip. So still do the other side, still do the dominant side. But if you can figure out already which is your dominant side, which is your weak side, then you could switch back and you could do a few more on the weak side. So do a few on the strong side, but really that side doesn't need it so much. And really pushing the head into the hand. So you really want that weak side to get a little bit stronger and to be talking to the brain. The brain will sort of disengage from these muscles if they're not really firing up. Last one. So yeah, good. I've got good fatigue there now. So now let's just come into facing forward again, and let's just come into a low trapezius swing. So we're going to just gently twist, and we're just assessing how tight am I across the back of the rib cage and the low part of the rib cage. Gradually coming up. So the trapezius is such a big complex muscle that it's divided into 3 zones, the lower, the middle, so and the upper. So middle is between the shoulder blades. And then as you go higher, it's the shoulders to the neck. So often they're all really hard working. I've got a stiff neck at the moment, so I can feel my neck trapezius is pretty unhappy at the moment, and just come back down into center. So let's just start with right hand on right knee, left hand on the hinge of the left hip, and just push the right knee forward, and with your fingers pull back at the left hip. So you're just looking for opposition. So low effort, nice and slow. So Feldenkrais moves the bones. So the kneecap into the hand and the hinge of the hip, where the leg bone comes into the hip, just gently pulling back. But take notice of how tight you are across the low back. So across those SI joints. So do at least 5. It's a nice one to do if you're sitting. You can do this sitting, just takes a couple of minutes. Then put your hand from the hinge of the hip just into the space between the pelvis and the ribs. So right knee forward, left waist turning back, but you're still looking forward. So for people that are neck dominant, you've always got to be careful not to start the move in the head and the neck, which is what your brain will want to do, because your body will just jump straight past into those neck muscles, and your body will go too far. Your bones will go further because of the head, and you possibly will over rotate, overextend. So you're just taking notice. You know, I can feel my abs are working now a lot more. I can feel tightness in the low back. I can feel my obliques, the waist muscles. So obliques are abdominal muscles, but they're in the side of the body. So they sort of like form like an X at the side and help the body to twist. So then once you've done about 5 of those, put your hand on the low rib cage, still initiate from the hip. So right knee forward, hip, waist, low ribs, and remember to look forward because my head was turning there. So hip, waist, ribs. So now you start to notice the lower thoracic spine, the ribs and the low muscles in the rib cage really starting to get quite a stretch, and you can be tight here. So think of it as a spiral that initiates in the knee, the right knee, spirals through the pelvis, through the lumbar spine into the low ribs. It's a really lovely movement. It brings in all the muscles of the torso. Also noticing my neck firing up here, so because I have had a stiff neck recently, so I can feel my neck muscles firing up when they don't even need to, so that's always something to watch out for. So then you could come to sort of chest height, mid-chest, right knee forward, hinge of the hip, lumbar spine, rib cage, middle ribs. So spiral up through, think of it as a sequential movement, and you're still looking forward. And now I can really feel it in the vertebra just below my shoulder blades. If you've got a tight back, your lower thoracic will be tight as well. So about 5. And then your hand would go to your shoulder. So knee first, opposite hip, lumbar spine, lower, middle, upper rib cage. Just feel how that gets into a really important part of the body, which is the mediastinum, which is the fascial sac around the heart, which holds the heart in place. It attaches to the back of the rib cage and to the breastbone. So it sort of keeps the heart from wobbling around. That's a very medical description, but it just keeps the heart in place. But you can feel, as you do this through the upper chest, you can feel the back of the rib cage getting a nice stretch. So a really important part of the body to keep flexible. Try breathing in as you do it. You might just feel that mediastinum a little bit more. And now you're going to knee, hip, spine, ribs, and you're going to turn your head to look behind. I've got the stiff neck on this side, so just go to 60% of your range. I can really feel this between my shoulder blades now. So the mediastinum area is the least flexible part of the body because the heart's there, so it's not going to be super flexible because of the heart, but you do want some mobility here. It's going to really help the neck. It's really going to help below the rib. So now you're going to add in the reaching arm. So the knee first, the hip, the lumbar spine, the rib cage, the shoulder, the neck, the head, and then add the outreached arm. And come back sort of sequentially as well. So start from your pelvis, spiral up, find your 60-65% range. Maybe you're doing this with an in-breath, which is going to give you a little bit more room in the rib cage to go a little bit further, but still stabilizing your spine. So the in-breath stabilizes the lower rib cage and the upper lumbar spine. One more. So it might still feel stiff, but you might notice you're going quite a lot further. So just do a few nose circles, a few shrugs. Close your eyes and just feel now how different that side feels in the brain. So suddenly that side is very invigorated, very open. the breath feels better. So let's start now with the other side. So we've got the left hand on the left knee, right fingers like a little blade jabbing into the right hip complex, left knee forward, right hip back, and suddenly you notice how stiff you feel on this side. Keep your head looking forward. So I feel very stiff in the hip on this side and the back of the pelvis on one side. So different, completely different feedback. So when you do these, if you watch the videos on YouTube, take the time to really think about how your body feels. Don't just do it and be thinking about what you're going to be doing after the class. So do about 60 to 65% range. So then your hand rises into the waist, left knee forward, right hip back, right waist rotating, but you're still looking forward. So I'm feeling quite tight around this hip, this SI joint. Lovely gentle movement, but quite complex. It's not an easy movement, but it's simple to do. So put the hands on the low rib, left knee forward, right hip, right waist, right low ribs turning. So the waist part of it is your lumbar spine. So I'm feeling pretty stiff on this side. Keep looking forward. There's always the desire to turn the head because your body will go further and your brain doesn't have to focus so much. So it's a bit of a cheat. So then you'd come to sort of mid-chest. So left knee forward, right hip, right waist, right ribs, low ribs, middle ribs. And really focus on your feedback. So for me, more tightness in the hip on this side, but there was tightness in the rib cage on the other side. So this is the story of opposites, how forces go through the body. And if you've got tightness on one side, it will jump into the other side to compensate. So then you put your hand on your shoulder. Make sure it's spiraling up from the pelvis. So left knee, right pelvis, lumbar spine, low ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs. So for me, even going all the way through the rib cage, there's no tightness in the rib cage on this side. It's all in the hip. So I only explain this so that you think about what's happening in your body. So just be a little bit critical about what you're feeling. So you're very tight in my hip on this side. So once you've done about 5, you're spiraling up and maybe at the very last minute, you're turning your head. So start with the left knee, right pelvis, ribs, head. So again, you know, if I've got a stiff neck on the left side, it could be to do with the right hip being tight as well. It might not all be bad posture watching the computer. There could be a reason why this started, and it could be the whole body, the kinetic chain, and how the forces are moving through my body. So once you've done your 5, spiral up from the pelvis through the lumbar spine, rib cage, neck, head. Add the extending arm. So a lot more range in this one as well. So in my arm and upper body, I am almost directly behind. Well, I couldn't do that on the other side. And now I'm there. So don't strain to try and reach that midline, but just compare midline in the front, midline in the back, just whereabouts you are if you were looking at yourself from above. That's one. It was really nice, I must admit. And come back into center. Close your eyes and now you should feel fairly equal, fairly balanced. We could just try that as a test. So you could push your right knee forward, spiral through the left pelvis, rib cage, look behind, reach. How close are you to the midline at the back of your body? The line that's in line with your spine. So I'm a long way off on this side. And then come back and then try it on the other side while we're thinking about it. Left knee forward, spiral through the rib cage, the pelvis, the rib cage. And here I am directly behind myself on the midline, easily. So these are where if you were looking down upon yourself, you would see the asymmetries within the body. Before we go any further, let's just come into a mermaid. Let's get into the sides of the rib cage a little bit. So as the arm comes over, drop the sit bone on the side of the stretching arm. And think about a capital C through the arm, through the ribs, through the pelvis, and that bottom arm. You don't need to put the bottom arm there, but you're visualizing that capital C. So you want that curve. I often see people doing this exercise. They move the arm, but they don't move their rib cage at all. So they're doing this, no stretch at all. It's a really big cheat. So you're trying to bring the ribs and the waist into the C curve. Suddenly it gets really challenging when you find that lateral flexion. Drop the sit bone. Some really tight muscles through the side of the rib cage. And then if you feel that that's nice and comfortable, you could come into your mermaid and you could spiral through the spine to look behind. Do that really slowly and just make sure that your spine is happy with the movement. So again, think 60% range, nice and slow. Maybe you're using an in-breath. Last one. So just a nice sort of side body movement. Just move your head, your neck, check everything feels good. So we're just going to come into some balancing exercises for the thoracic spine. So we're coming into what looks like a W. Actually, I'll start with the Y. I always think of the YMCA when I do this one. So you're coming into a capital Y. So if you look at my body, it looks like a capital Y. And you're just going to press the back of your hands backwards, not to the point where your neck feels uncomfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your chin is slightly pulled in, retracted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these exercises are really good for forward head posture and weak thoracic girdle. So we've got Y, W, and now you're pressing back again. Really nice chest stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. So Laura, take your hands a little bit wider. That's it. So it looks like not here, out here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Make sure it's not in the neck. So there's a point where the tension jumps into your neck. That's too far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we come into the T. Turn your palms backwards now and press back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should feel the muscles in the back of your upper body fatiguing. The next one, so it's Y, W, T, and then it's L, but we do both at the same time. So that's really the twerk. So you're going to take your thumbs towards the back. You're going to lift your heart, keep your chin tucked in. So you're extending your upper spine, and then you're rounding and you're looking into your palms. So it's the extending, it's the moving the thumbs backwards that the spine really needs. We do a lot of flexion forward. The spine is used to that, but the upper spine is not used to extending backwards when you sit at a desk for too long. So you're rounding and extending. So feel like your heart's pushing up to the ceiling. Keep the chin slightly tucked in so you're not throwing the head around. You're keeping the neck muscles active to stabilize. Rounding. So if you're sat at a desk for hours, just do these 4 movements just periodically, Or you could just do the twerk for 10 to 20 repetitions and you'll feel so much better after you've done it. So make that the last one. So it's Y, W, T, and L. So you just got to remember those letters. So I'm going sideways now. I'm shunting forward a bit on the chair, and I want you to just bring your chest towards your thighs. You could put your elbows on your thighs. My chair is quite high, so. And as you put your elbows on your thighs, bring your chest towards your thighs. Look at the horizon. Look at something that's eye level, and then feel like you're growing really long in your back, and push your elbows into your thighs, and just feel those long back muscles. Get a nice stretch, and then relax. Try not to overwork your neck. So elbows on the thighs, push the chest forward, lengthen the back, look at the horizon, eye level, feel the long back muscles stretch, and relax again. And again, pushing forward through the heart, lengthening through the back. Another good one if you're sitting for too long, rounding. One more, extending, lengthening the back, and gently relax and roll up. Scoot to the edge of the chair and put the outside cheek of your bottom over the edge of the chair, and the other hand on the back of the chair. Put your toe on the floor, and I want you to tuck your pelvis under until you feel your middle quad, this muscle at the front of the thigh, and tightness at the front of the pelvis, and then relax. So think of the wheel in the hip again. So you're tucking, feel the hip flexors. So we've got two hip flexors stretching here. We've got the iliopsoas and the rectus femoris, the front of the leg. So again, tucking, feel that stretch. So now let's bring in the strongest hip flexor, which is the psoas, which is higher up. So we tuck the tailbone, and then we're going to rotate our rib cage towards the back of the chair. And then we're going to do an arabesque. We're going to lift our heart, so we're arching through the spine. So that's the psoas in the sort of above the belly button area. And then gently come back. So let's just go through that again. Tuck the pelvis really strongly. Rotate your ribs towards the back of the chair, and then lean backwards and think heart to ceiling. You could also take a breath into that right side, outside rib cage, the one that the leg's on the floor. Gently come down, and we can make it a little bit stronger by adding an arm. So we're tucking the tailbone, rotating to the chair, arabesque, and arch backwards. Take a deep breath in. Slowly come out. We'll do that one last time. Tuck the tail, float the arm, rotate to the back of the chair, arching backwards. Take a deep breath in. So you feel that tension at the side of your spine, on the side that the leg is on the floor. That's your psoas. So that's your psoas, iliopsoas, quadriceps. Change to the other side. So you've got the foot on the floor. I'm on the toe because I've got a high chair, but you might be on a lower chair. Have the cheek of the bottom hanging off the edge of the chair. Support yourself on the back of the chair. So start with the wheel of the hip tucking, and just see how tight you are through the quad, the middle muscle in the front of the thigh, and the front of the pelvis. So for me, not so tight on this side. Tucking under. So you've got to tuck under till you feel that tension, that brain connection, releasing. Tucking under. So we did about 3. So then we tuck under, and then we rotate our ribs towards the back of the chair, and then we arch backwards, arabesque. Keep your chin pulled in. And then come back. So interestingly, my psoas is tighter on this side, maybe, so it's opposites again. So this hip's tight, so this side psoas is reacting. So tuck the tailbone under. Rotate to the chair. Arching backwards, chin tucked, take a breath. Slowly down, so very tight on this side, so that's an interesting observation. So tucking under, float the arm, rotate to the chair, arch backwards, take a breath, and and slowly come out. So again, tucking under, float the arm, rotate to the chair, arch backwards, take a breath, come back out. One last time, tucking under, float the arm, rotate to the back of the chair, arch backwards, lift the heart, take a breath, and gently releasing. So that is 3 of your hip flexors, so a really good stretch to do. Facing forward again. Right foot to left knee. Good example of very tight rotators in the back of the pelvis. So when you've got that high knee, it means you're super tight. So ideally the knee should be somewhere here. So just find what you're comfortable with. Add a little bit of a gentle bounce. So Laura's pretty tight as well. I can't see Fiona, she's off screen. So it's quite a strong way to do a psoas, piriformis and rotators. It's quite nice if you're in the evenings and you're on a lower chair, sofa, a little bit softer. You probably could sit there for 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and just really balance these muscles while you're watching something on television. Make sure you're working at a comfortable range. So now, grow really long in your spine and think belly button to the shin bone. So you're not dropping your head to the knee. That's just going to push tension into your back. You're taking your belly button forward. For me, I've got only about 1 centimetre because I'm so tight here. So you're trying to stay in an anterior tilted pelvis, pelvis tilting forward, to keep it in the hips and the pelvis, keep it out of your back. Super tight. 1, 2, 3. There's a limit to what you can do with static stretches, but it's good to do it as a test if nothing else. Belly button to shin. 1, 2, 3. And if it's super strong like mine is, you wouldn't add the bounce. The bounce is fine in the more neutral position, but not while you're doing the stretch. So take the left leg. It's pretty bad on this side as well. The good news is I'm bad on both sides equally. So if you had one that was down here and the other that was up towards your shoulder, that would be a bad imbalance, but this is an equal imbalance. So just find what you're comfortable with. Add a little gentle bounce. So in a fairly neutral sitting position, there's room to bounce, and the bounce has got to be very controlled, minimal, so the brain can sense through proprioception that that is safe. Okay. So then stop the bounce, grow really tall, think belly button to shin bone. I've actually realised I'm even tighter on this side. Maybe only by a couple of degrees, but it's definitely a lot tighter. So again, compensations. You find with the rotators, the muscles at the back of the pelvis, it tends to jump from side to side. It's not usually a constant. It's something that's usually always changing, depending on what you've been doing. Belly button to shin. We're really long in the spine. I can feel this tightness in my lower leg muscles as well. And releasing. So just shake out the legs. So coming to standing, we'll do the we could do the quads again really quickly. I don't want to spend too much time because I want to do the abs. So you could just hold the foot, nice soft elbow, and again, just tuck your pelvis under like you did on the chair to feel the front of the thighs stretching. So this stretch is going to bring in the other quadriceps as well, not just the middle one. And again, it's good for a quick fix, but it's not the best way to deal with it. The best way is trigger points or using your rollers. Try the other side. A lot tighter on this side to the point where I just got cramp. Let's change sides so that I can hold the chair. So pretty tight in this side today. So just feel the wheel of your hip rolling as you tuck your tailbone under, stretching. So you're doing it as an assessment. It's better to roll the quads out using the rollers. And release. How about a hamstring stretch? Take one foot onto the chair if you're comfortable with that. Make sure your standing foot is in a what would be first position. So it's turned to the side so that that knee is comfortable. Keep your body over the standing leg. Don't lean forward into the stretch. So keep the weight in the standing leg, and then just think belly button towards big toe, and just find a stretch that's comfortable. You're not pressing on your knee, so you're either on the upper thigh or the lower leg. You're not dropping your head to the knee. You're not leaning forward through this leg. Your hip is over your ankle, and just belly button to big toe. If you wanted to make this more advanced, you could do a little knee bend and straighten so that you get slight movement, torsion, lengthening and shortening the hamstrings in the back of the thigh while you stretch. So if you're feeling tension in the back, look at your alignment. You might not be in a neutral spine, you might be in a rounded spine. If you're not too tight in the hamstrings, I'll just move away a bit, you could hold the toes. If you can reach the feet, you could pull the toes toward your knee. If you can't hold them, you add that little bit of a torsional knee bend. And another stretch that you can do in this position is you can take the hand on the same side as the leg that's on the floor to the outside of the raised leg, and you could just bring your upper body a little bit into the stretch, so you'll feel the stretch through the back muscles as well. And then if you add the little knee bend, you're stretching the hamstrings on the raised leg and the back muscles on the arm that's hanging over the lower leg. So quite advanced stretching. Gently come out of it and then bend your knee to release, and change legs. I'll change sides because it's a little bit easier to see. So again, make sure that your standing leg is in first position. It's turned, externally rotated, and then just start by making sure that the foot is under the hip. You're not leaning towards the chair. Think belly button to big toe, and the hand is on the thigh or the lower leg. Belly button to big toe. Just feel the stretch in the hamstrings, assess, so I'm tighter in this leg. And then just gently bending the knee if you want to add a little bit of stretching and shortening of the hamstrings. Make sure that still feels good. So again, 60 to 65% range. I'm a little bit too close to my chair. Always hip over ankle. People tend to lean forward when they do this stretch, and then they overload the stretching muscle and they're out of balance as well. So then if you wanted to bring in the back, take the arm as the same arm as the leg that's on the floor, across the lower leg to the outside of the calf, and now you feel those long back muscles coming into the stretch. See how that feels, and then maybe you're adding that little bit of a gentle knee bend again, so you're feeling it right the way from the fingers of the hand over the leg, right the way down into the leg, so that whole side of your body getting a really nice stretch. And then to come out of it, bring your chest into center over the thigh, and you sort of walk yourself up the leg, bend the knee, and shake out the leg. So let's just get rid of our chairs. Grab your roller, coming to the floor. Oops. There we go. So coming into knees, we're going to put the roller between the knees, right up to the front of the knee, so you can grip the roller with the calves and the ankles. Hands on the shoulders. It's a bit of a cat stretch. You're going to breathe in to look forward, push out through the bottom and the sit bones, and then breathe out to round like a cat and squeeze the roller with the knees, the calves, the ankles. So that's really going to fire up your deep core. So breathe in to look forward, breathing out to round, feel the stretch in the back. Breathing in to look forward, push out through the sit bones, breathing out. Now, if you wanted to go a little bit stronger, put the toes on the floor. As you tuck under, lift your knees, lower your knees. Breathe in to look forward, push out through the sit bones. Breathe out, rounding, tucking and lifting. Nice stretch for the feet and the shins. Breathing in to look forward, Breathing out to round. And slowly come down. And just stretch for a minute. Take the roller out from the knees. Put it in front of you. So have your knees, your feet together. Your feet at hip space, your knees at hip space. Breathe in, so still the cat stretch. Breathe in to stretch out. Breathe out to roll, and the weight is in your knees. So breathe in, maybe looking at the roller, maybe looking forward. Breathing out, pelvic tuck. Breathing in, press your forearms into the roller. If your neck doesn't like this, drop your head down between your shoulders. Breathing out. Breathing in, look forward. Breathing out, weight in the knees. So now breathe in, go forward, and just let your head hang between your shoulders. Gentle press into the forearms, little gentle bounces. Just make that comfortable for your shoulders, your chest, your shoulder blade muscles. And then tuck your tailbone under, pelvic curl. Use your abs to bring the roller back in. So breathing in and stretching, drop the head, little gentle bounces. It's really lovely for the shoulders, as long as you don't go too strong. Breathing out, pelvic curl, use your abs. One more time, breathing in, gentle bounces. Breathing out, pelvic tuck. Take both hands over to the right side, reaching out, and just press your left arm, this one, into the roller, and you'll feel the stretch through your triceps, your shoulder blades, your latissimus dorsi, which is big upper back muscles. Don't be too strong, but just find the fascial connection. And then tuck your tailbone under, come back in, put both hands over to the left side, and now as you roll out, pressing your left arm into the roller, find the stretch through the triceps, the shoulders, latissimus dorsi. Take a breath. Breathing out, come back in one more time, over to the right. So you could even take the other hand away, take it behind you. Come back in. Last time, right arm over to left side. It's a little bit like a saw, and gently come back into center. Put the roller long ways along your mat. And you're going to sit on the roller. Let's do some ab work. We're going to get to abs finally. So sit at the end of the roller, lying down. Make sure your head is on the roller. You're not hanging off the top of the roller. So your tailbone should just be above the bottom of the roller. And then the whole of your neck and head, back of the skull is on the roller so that you feel supported. Take the hands nice and wide. Bring the feet into hip space. Pelvic tucks. You're tucking under. Try and press your lumbar spine into the roller just to give the back a little bit more stretch. And you're just giving your brain a moment to figure out that you're on something that's moving. So then hands fairly wide. Come back into a neutral pelvis. So there's a little bit of a space there at the small of the back. And you're going to float your right knee, float your left knee, right foot down, left foot down. Change the leading leg, left leg, right leg, left foot down, right foot down. One more time each, right and left, right down, left down, left leg. You could do 20 of these, just this exercise alone. You're going to get a really good workout for your core. Bring your right knee up. Breathe in, extend, turn out, and lower to the floor. So psoas again. Breathe out, strong abs to come back in. So breathe in, extend, turn out. Think little toe to the floor. Strong abs to come back in. Breathe in, extend, turn out, and stretch. Could you take your left arm towards your left ear? Can you still keep your balance? And can you stretch out through the arm as the little toe touches the floor? So really challenging your psoas. So we've chosen opposite side because that's a little bit easier. So maybe we could try same side, a little bit harder. You have to balance a bit more. Maybe you can reach upper arm to ear, or maybe you could reach to the floor. So that's really going to get the psoas, the iliopsoas stretching, just to help to balance the back. Abs are working nicely in both directions. Last one. So you should feel a little bit of fatigue in the abs. And now take the feet to the floor, hip space, pelvic tucks. So hands wide, float the left leg, breathe in, extend, turn out, little toe to floor. Breathe out, strong abs, come back in. Breathe in, extend, turn out, little toe to floor. Breathe out, strong abs, come back in. Maybe floating your right arm to your ear, opposite side. See if you can still keep the balance. See if you could move the arm in and out with the leg, coordination. Or you could just hold it there if you find that's a little bit too challenging. And then see if you can manage, a little bit harder now because I'm right-handed, see if you can manage same side. So the brain is working overtime now to balance, coordinate, and synchronize the arm and the leg moving out together and coming in together. Last one. Take a nice deep breath on the last one and come back in. So put the feet back at hip space. Have your pelvis back into level. Let's float the right leg, turn out at the hip, draw circles on the ceiling. You want the size of circle that you can do a really good circle. You don't want to be so big that it's starting to get uncoordinated and you feel like you're going to fall off the roller. Make sure the hip stays in turnout. Change the direction of your circle. If your circle is not very smooth, deepen your abs. Pull up through the pelvic floor. Pull the belly button in more. Tighten your waist. And then fold your knee and place the foot on the floor. Hip space, float the left knee, extend and turn out. Draw the size of circle that you can keep a good circle. It's a nice combination of stretching tight leg muscles and strengthening abs and glutes. And then stay turned out and go the other way. Deepen your abs to get the really good motor skills to draw that perfect circle. Fold the knee. Place the feet on the floor. Go wider than hip space. Pelvic tucks. Come back to a level pelvis, a little space in the small of the back. Bring the feet closer together. Float the right knee. Float the left knee. Single leg stretch. Not too low. And come back in. Single leg stretch. Pull your belly button to the back of the rib cage in opposition to the energy of the legs. So if you feel any loading in the back, pull the belly button in more deeply, pull up through the pelvic floor, and just find the way to stabilize the back. One more, right leg, one more, left leg. Again, take the feet to the floor, pelvic tuck. So you can do quite hard exercises if you take lots of little breaks like this in between. Link the fingers so you don't move into being overtired. Link the fingers and just float the head and just give the spine a little bit of a stretch. Tuck your tailbone under. Just give the whole spine a stretch. And then gently down. Hands wide, feet at hip space. Float the knees. Heels together. First position. Pull the belly button to the back of the ribs. Double leg stretch. And come back in. Nice and slow. Try and find just how much you need to pull your belly button in to make your back feel safe. You don't want to feel the tension in the back. You want to feel the tension in the abs. Advancing it if you want to. Belly button to ribs, double leg stretch. Open, close, and come back in. Belly button to ribs, extend, open, close. Don't go too wide. In the scissor movement, it's more about deepening your abs as the thighs draw back together. So the opening part, you're quite uncontrolled, but then you deepen your powerhouse, inner thighs, pelvic floor as you come back together. Open, close, so that's called coordination. Last one, open, close, come back in, 1 foot down, the second foot down. Feet wide, link the fingers behind the head, float the head, stretch, take a breath. Slowly come down, put the hands on the floor, roll the roller out from underneath of you, but now bring the roller under the pelvis. So you're doing it long ways now. Put the roller at the widest part of your hips. So if you've got the roller at the widest part of the hips, you're not in the lumbar curve. That's not safe or comfortable. You should be able to lift both knees without feeling the roller's going to pop out from you. Put your hands either side of your bottom with your thumbs pointing in so that you've created two stoppers with your hands to fix your pelvis. Have your feet together, mini marching. So it's not a big move like this. That's too much for the back to do. It's just this little tiny scissor. And then once you've got the mini march going for you, you're mini marching over to the right, get those abs working, mini marching to center, mini marching over to the left, mini marching. So there's a little bit of massage going on in the back of the pelvis, glute medius, but more than that, your abs are working as you flutter the knees and you move them right to left. Simple movement, but really effective. So make the flutter small, fairly slow. Don't do it too quickly. You don't want to overload the back. That's it. Really focus on pulling in through the pelvic floor, pulling in through the low abs. Feel like you could pull your two hip bones at the front closer together by initiating low transversus abdominis. Coming into center. Keep the feet together. Let the right knee fall out. And then deepen your abs as the right knee comes in. Let the left knee fall out. Deepen the abs as you draw the knee back in. So right knee falls out. Strong abs to draw the knee in. Left knee falls out. Strong abs to come back in. If you could go stronger, let the knee and the foot fall out. Strong abs to come back together. Right knee, left knee, left foot opens and closes. So the feet together is easier, a little bit less load, and only do the opening leg if you feel that you've got the control. Last time, right leg. So we can make that a lot stronger by taking our right leg to the ceiling, flex our toe to our knee, keep the left knee where it is, fall out in line with the roller, and then strong abs to bring the leg back up. Falling out, strong abs to come back in. We'll do 4. Falling out, strong abs to come back in. Falling out, strong abs to come back in. Bend the knee. Take the left leg to the ceiling and flex. Falling out in line with the roller, strong abs to come back in. Falling out, strong abs to come back in. So you can feel those low abs below the belly button. You're getting a really nice workout. Last one. Fold the left knee, take the right leg up, toe pointed, draw a half circle and come back up through, half circle, come back up. So you decide how big that half circle is by how stable and level your pelvis is. You don't want your pelvis rolling around. You could change the direction. So it's a half circle coming through the midline. Nice stretch for the hip, for the leg muscles, strong ab work. Bend the knee, take the other leg up, toe pointed. So you come down the midline, half circle around and up. Come down the midline, half circle around, come down. Choose the size that your pelvis is perfectly still. And then when you're ready, change the direction, circle around, come up the midline, circle around, come up the midline. I can feel my hamstrings and inner thighs getting a really lovely stretch. My abs are working nicely. Last one. Come back to both knees bent. Single leg stretch again. Hard ab workout. Make sure the hip is in turn out because we don't want the front of the thighs, the quads to be working too much. Try going out a little bit lower if you feel like your back is comfortable with that. One more right, one more left. Lovely, well done. Take one foot to the floor. Take the other foot to the floor. Roll the roller forward. Slide it out. Bring your knees into your chest. Just give yourself a little stretch. Chin into chest, head into knees. Take a breath. And then swing up into sitting. Just bring the roller behind. Let's just finish with some thoracic extension, which is always a really nice way to finish for the back. Put the roller sort of at the bottom of your shoulder blades if you're flexible, or in the middle of the shoulder blades if you're not so flexible. Have your feet at hip space. Link your fingers, hands behind your head. Bring your elbows forward and just do a gentle sway from right to left. So you're really into your latissimus dorsi muscles if you're under the shoulder blades, or you're into the trapezius muscles if you're on the shoulder blades. Maybe turn the side to side movement into a sort of a figure of 8. This massaging those upper back muscles. Keep your chin pulled in. Coming into center, and you're going to just breathe in and look at the ceiling and open your elbows. Breathe out, strong abs, close your elbows and look through the knees. So breathe in and open. Breathe out, work at a comfortable range. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Little half turn and just do a little bit of scrubbing at the side of your shoulder blades. There's lots of muscles there that can get pretty uncomfortable, pretty tight, and then come to center, little half turn, scrubbing at the left side of the rib cage. Come back into center. Just take the legs out halfway. Breathe in and go over the roller to a comfortable place. And then as you breathe out, bring your right knee in and elbows to knee, but don't pull on the neck. Take the foot down. Breathe in and open. Breathe out, left knee comes up. Breathing in to open. Breathing out, right knee. Pull the belly under the ribs. Breathing in. Breathing out, left knee. Breathing in. Last time, right knee. Breathing in. Last time, left knee. So that one is a little bit more upper abs. You've done a lot for low abs. That's for upper abs. Just go back to side sway into the figure of 8. And then just one more time, breathe in and open. Just see how much freer that feels. Breathe out and close. And then just swinging up into sitting. Bring the roller, we're nearly there. Bring the roller into the gap between the ribs and the hips. And just hand on chest and just do a little bit of rolling backwards. So we're just getting into those lumbar spine muscles. Just do about a 5. Keep the chin pulled in. So it's not the forward movement, it's the backward movement. So you're pushing into the thick band of muscles that runs along the side of the spine. So this is about 5. And then come to sitting, change sides. So in the gap between the ribs and the hips, ankles and knees together, hand on the chest, just gently rolling backwards. We should be pretty good at finding these muscles now. About 5 nice long strokes just to relax the mid-back. Last one. And we've finished. So that was Friday Zoom.